Welcome biology students, this is Miss Teslin, and I just wanted to make a video for you for part one of the Neuron Online Lab. And that's all about how your brain cells work in your brain. So the first part is all about the brain cell at rest. And so we're going to scroll down, we're in the class page here, we're scrolling down to 7.8, and we're going to go to the slide deck, which is a little binoculars there. And we're going to scroll through these slides until we get to the actual lab. That's a picture, that's a picture of what our brain cells look like, okay? And we're going to be looking at this part of it, this long axon part, the long tail end of it in this lab and seeing what's happening. Okay, so this is the end of the brain cell, and we're going to have a close-up look at what is happening. So notice we have a legend. It shows us the sodium, potassium, sodium gated channels, potassium gated channels, sodium leak channels, and potassium leak channels. All right, we're going to notice that there's a worksheet that we're going to be completing as we go through. And that's what this looks like here. And then we also have instructions for the lab, but I'm going to give you different instructions, and I'm going to send you this link. It's also in our additional resources. And we're going to follow along with this because I think it's a little easier. So you're going to go to the simulation. You're going to make sure the speed is set to normal. Okay. And then you're going to unclick all ions. There we go. I'm off the page. We're going to zoom in so you can really see what's going on. And you're also going to hit concentration so you can see the concentration of the potassium and sodium inside the cell of that axon and outside the cell. Okay. And we're going to go back to the activity and just do that very quickly. Okay. So hit concentrations, hit all ions, click that on. It's at normal. And now we're going to come in really, really close and see what's actually happening. So notice how the red sodium is coming into the cell, and notice how the green ions, potassium, the K, is going out of the cell. Notice that the concentration of Ks, or potassium, is very high inside the cell, and notice that the sodium concentration is very high outside of the cell. So most of the ions that are potassium are actually moving out of this into the cell. Out of the cell, most of them. And most of the sodium are moving into the cell. Not all of them, though. Okay. Now we're going to go back to our question, and we're going to, it says complete part one, question one for the worksheet. So here we are, explain the movement of ions in and out of the cell, and explain how the concentration gradient impacts the movement. Based on your observation of the neuron at rest, what do you hypothesize about the difference between leak channels and gated channels? So we're going to answer that question next. And we're going to look at the legend, and we're going to have a close look at these these leak channels right here and these gated channels. And we're going to see what's actually happening. So we'll go back to the lab. And let's have a look. So there's the sodium leak channel. That's the potassium leak channel. Here's the gated channels. And we can see that nothing is really happening there. Okay, so we're going to go back to our worksheet, and you're going to answer question 2. What do you think is happening? You're going to answer question 3 based on what you figure out. One of the ions is missing, chloride. It's not directly involved, but it helps to regulate so action potential, so the brain cells aren't triggered. So why would this be important for keeping a balance in our brain? If, the chloride, what role does it play? And number 4, the last part, is we're going to be looking at the concentration of sodium and potassium inside and outside of the cell. And you can do that through, we're going to click on the concentrations, or it's already clicked on, and we're going to record these numbers for question 4. And that is part 1.